What are we going to get here today in this
hmm
one?
Joe, you're looking quite dapper today. I'm liking the look here.
Oh,
You're not doing
yes.
the Miami Vice look today. You're looking quite dapper today. Very nice.
I'm late
Let's
for
get to the
tea
game.
time, TB. So let's move this thing along. Let's go.
Let's move this thing along. Is this thing on? Okay. So yeah, we got Woods Richardson going against Zach Littell today, and you're right. Both teams pretty empty, emptying the tank. This is a bloody series here. They're punching each other pretty good, and I have both of these bullpens ranked 13 out of 30, so they're pretty mediocre to start with. And I have both of these starting pitchers ranked below mediocre. So where do we find the difference in this game? It's in the hitting, because I actually have the Twins ranked number 3, the number 3 hitting team in all of Major League Baseball right now, and I have the Rays ranked 20. So I think this discrepancy here is going to be the key to this game. Dig a little deeper. Woods Richardson has not. He had one bad game in his last start, but before that, he's only given up 6 earned runs in 3 starts. Pretty good numbers. Whereas Zach Littell has given up 3 or more earned runs in 4 straight starts. So I like the Twins here. That's how I'm going to go with this one. Not sure what the odds are now, but when I bet it, it was a pretty good number. Take the Twins with, number 3 hitting team in Major League Baseball. I would actually even go for a Twins team total here as well. Hard to trust their bullpen. 2 days ago, I was on the Twins, yesterday I was on the Twins. I think their bullpen blew it. I had them first 5 the day before that, and got a push. Lucky push, actually, because they were losing 5-3 in the 5th inning, and they got 2 runs to tie it. So I got lucky on the push 2 days ago. So yeah, like I said, this has been a bloody battle between these two teams. But I think the Twins, their power hitting is going to pretty much overtake Zach Littell and this worn out Tampa Bay bullpen. So I like the Twins here, either first 5 or full game.
Yeah, like that. Again, a little bit of rain, colder temperatures set for this game. 9 damn relievers they used yesterday, combined to add extra innings, and a whole lot of guys for Tampa have gone back to back. And you said it, TB, mediocre at best. And now they're going to need Littell to go a few extra innings here, to say the least, in this one. Shout out, by the way, Jason Baumgartner in there. Yes, Jason, I had to push the tea time back here because Dan, unfortunately, couldn't get a camera on location where he's at. So here I am. And don't forget, just a side note, they will have Puck Time back tomorrow at this time to go over that Game 6 in Edmonton with the Panthers, 11 a.m. Eastern time, and we'll look to take that spot moving forward. Figure the first week of July, guys, we'll be moving to 11 a.m. Monday through Friday here for first pitch, to give you guys an opportunity to get yourselves acclimated. And, of course, we want to get you guys the info as soon as possible, and that's why we're going to go ahead and go a little early here. All right, we've got, let's see what we got in the chat here today. We are seeing... Trig, I'll ask you before we get to some best bets here. I am seeing some interest with the Guardians and the Mariners here today. 8.5 is what I am seeing as a total. The Guardians, what a tale of interesting games, right? Seattle gets to them in game 1 there on Monday, or Tuesday, rather. The Guardians blank them yesterday. So what happens in this rubber match here today at Progressive Field with the Guardians?
I gave some thought to the Mariners here. I'll tell you what, the line move at this point, I'd be willing to oppose. Like I see that we're now creeping up toward like minus 125, minus 130 with the Guardians. I will have to check lineups. I'm sure that's lineup related, because it doesn't make sense in my opinion for that move to not be lineup related. But even if the Mariners had a guy out of their lineup, that doesn't bother me. Like, the Mariners are all pitching. The pitching on this team can carry them a long way this year, I think. I mean, they have some serious pitching depth. And so I wouldn't be put off by the Mariners rotating their lineup, giving someone a day off. if it means you're now getting Castillo plus 115. Really, like he had, and I just wanted to look at, it was the one start in Kansas City against the Royals. Outside of that, he's been awesome. Like he's not, like, if you look at these two starters next to each other, Logan Allen and Luis Castillo, like that's not an even pitching matchup. Castillo is far superior. I know Logan Allen's had a little run of late, but like those two are not equal. And that line keeps moving. Honestly, it's not something that's going to make my card today, but I'd be willing to punch back at that move at some point. If they're going to give you plus 115 on the Mariners, I understand the Guardians have been, I mean, they do everything right. This team has I never expected this from them. I still think there's some regression at some point. I haven't been dying to fade them because they move the runner over. They get the timely hit. The bullpen is really solid. You're probably looking at Hunter Gaddis not pitching today. I know he's been used up recently, but it almost doesn't even matter. The Guardians bullpen has been awesome. So I haven't been dying to bet against them. You'll have to, obviously, you're going to want to check if Brian Power is in town. He goes to a lot of the day games. If he's going to the day game, you should just bet the under. Every game the guy goes to goes under. So if he's in the building, changes the whole handicap. You just take the under 8 and probably go collect your money in 2 hours. But Mariners plus the 115 plus 120, there's starting to be some value there, in my opinion.
Yeah, actually, BP on the morning wager today made it known he will not be in attendance here today.
I only asked. He goes to a lot of the day games. That's why I wondered.
Yeah, we make sure, Trig, you know that he has to tell everybody if he's going to be in attendance to any of these games at Progressive Field. There it is, Team Power. A little late night in the bar last night there. But I will say this.
Larry Bird. Looks like Larry Bird.
He did say hot and humid day and the wind blowing in.
It's Larry Bird
at Progressive. So if he would have been in there, it'd have been great. Yeah, no, that was Brian Power just bought a bar in Cleveland. So there he is, bartending the other night. Bird. Yes, he looks good. It does look like Larry Bird. Now you just gave me another idea, TB. Shame on you. Can't wait to see the next iteration of what that photo looks like here. Tyler in the house. Grayson Benenfield is patting himself on. I didn't even realize that his arms wrapped around to his back as he's patting himself on a $5 19-team parlay. I'm sure that works out well. Keep doing that again. Impress us. Let's talk TB here. Did you have any thoughts on this Guardians Seattle game? It feels like two really good defensive teams, two really good bullpens. Logan Allen's the X factor in this one, isn't he?
He is the X factor. And actually, I have a database of all my pitchers. He doesn't show up because he hasn't made enough appearances recently. He hasn't been around recently, so it's really hard to get a read on him. The Guardians have the better lineup for sure. They're hitting quite well, but Luis Castillo, I mean, like Adam said, Castillo is the better pitcher here. Against the Guardians, though, he has quite a tumultuous history in 82 at-bats against. He has a 305 batting average against and an 846 OPS against. So OPS, anything over 700, I'm a little weary to go with that pitcher. So the Guardians could do some damage here, but Seattle also could do some damage because Logan Allen's not the greatest pitcher in the world. Anytime you have a whip over 1.4, it means you're in a little trouble. And he does have a good history against Seattle. And Seattle's lineup is not exactly a frightening murderer's row. Their best hitters are not performing very well this season, especially Rodriguez. So, if you're going pitcher alone, though, for sure Castillo's the better pitcher. I would just be a little worried about his history against this lineup, and the Guardians do have some power. So I'd be a little weary on that one. Like Dan's Chihuahua.
Go ahead, Derek.
Like, I'm looking at the lineup right now. I mean, I don't know who. I'm at a quick glance. It looks like they just posted the lineup. So, I'm trying to figure out who might be out here. They rotated. It looks like Raleigh's probably got a day off. But again, like some of the younger guys, so Locklear, Bliss, those are guys that have played well for the AAA team Tacoma this year. Like especially Locklear is going to be really good. So the bottom of their lineup looks weak. Locklear, Robles, Bliss. But again, it's not like the rest of the team is just knocking the cover off the ball. So
Right.
you're looking at the graphic on your screen, which was probably made like 2 seconds before we got in the show, where the Mariners were minus 110.
Yep.
I don't understand where the 30-cent move comes from, right? Like, so again, the more that moves and the more plus money they're going to give you on the Mariners, the more of a case you have for the Mariners here, in my opinion. Because at minus 110, I had no opinion, but now if you're going to get plus 120 on the Mariners, probably worth a shot.
Yeah, and I'm also seeing, the money appears to have come in on the under as well. So we're getting all of this money flipping to Seattle, and we're getting an under now at 8 from 8.5. So, and no real crazy signs outside of maybe the market is just fading Allen at this point and being like, yeah, no, we're not, or maybe they're fading Castillo at this time, rather, thinking maybe there's an issue there. But that game is going off, guys. 1 o'clock. That's going to be one of the early games here today. Also, 2 o'clock. I know one of Trigg's favorites with Flexen going against Arrighetti here. Houston finally figured out. I'm still trying to figure out how the White Sox won a game the other night with just 2 hits, but they did. And now, well, that's because I think Houston had even less than that. But Houston gets it back last night here. It feels like this is a good spot and a good price, although I'm seeing the market here, TB, coming the other way because I'm seeing it opened at 175. I'm seeing 160s in there now. So any reason why we would be fading Houston in this spot?
Well, the White Sox are America's favorite punching bag, but if you break down the stats, they're actually hitting better than the Astros. So they are a horrible team. They're mainly a horrible team because they have one of the worst bullpens in Major League Baseball, but the hitting actually is not that bad. So when they have a good pitcher on the mound, and actually the White Sox have a decent pitching staff. Fetty's doing quite well. They have a couple other pitchers who are pitching quite well, but today's pitcher is not one of them. So I definitely would not be backing the White Sox today. When you have a team like this that everyone loves to hate and the books just trash completely, a team total over is always a decent play because the White Sox actually can hit the ball and they're hitting better than the Astros. Take a look at the last month. The White Sox are actually hitting better than the Astros. I'm not going to back them today. But I've been putting out baseball preview videos on WagerTalk's YouTube channel pretty much every day for the last week or so. And I have been telling everyone, don't bet the Astros. I mean, they might win, but it's a very precarious bet because I have these two teams pretty much neck and neck. If you cover the logos and plug your nose, the White Sox are not as bad as they seem.
No, yeah, you're right about hitting the ball. They have been hitting the cover. They got a couple of great young arms, and all likelihood are going to look fantastic in Yankee uniforms. Trig, any thought here on Flexen or Arrighetti? I know you've liked Arrighetti. I don't know that his numbers reflect how good he has been at times here for them. Are you got a feeling one way or the other? I'm seeing 9.5 for a total. So I think they're expecting some offense in this one.
Yeah, I mean, Arrighetti kind of got screwed a little bit in his last outing. He got kind of moved up a day. I believe he ended up getting bumped up to pitch when Verlander got scratched, and that's when he got just demolished by the Tigers. Prior to that, he was rolling. I mean, I still thought he was someone that, was kind of living on the edge a little bit in terms of every start there's 3 walks. It seemed like, he would get a strikeout to get out of a jam, but he did have a run. If you go back to earlier in the year, he was getting pounded by the good teams. Then he had a run where he faced Oakland, Seattle, the Cardinals, the Giants, right? So it was a little bit of a reprieve for him. And then of course, getting moved up did him no favors. He was out by the second inning in that game against the Tigers. I don't know what that really does to him and his confidence. Remember, he was a guy that I didn't even expect coming into this year that he'd be up at this point. He was. I figured he'd be in AAA for the majority of the first half, but the Astros have just had so many injuries to their rotation that they've, it's been good and bad. He's gotten a little trial by fire, but at the same time, you'll be interested to see how he responds from just taking a beating last time out. Flexen, I agree with Tokyo Brandon. Like, this is probably not the guy in this White Sox rotation that I want to take a stand with. I had something written down that I'll bring up. I don't know, maybe it's as simple as, like, TB said some team total overs. I think they might make some sense. So it had been unseasonably cold in Chicago for the first couple months of the year. And the ball, when it's cold and it's windy in April and May, doesn't carry in that ballpark. That guaranteed rate field's much more of a hitter's park during the summer when it's 80 and humid and the ball carries a little bit. That can be a problem for Flexen. Flexen gives up fly balls, and I truly think that park and the unseasonably cold weather for a while helped him out. Because if you recall, when he was bounced around last year and then ended up in Coors Field, he got just destroyed. Balls were flying out left and right. His fly ball to home run ratio is, I believe, as bad as anyone in the league. So I had written down circle back and look to play against Flexen when the weather warms up and he's at home. So I just checked my weather app quickly. It looks like it's an 80-degree day. I don't know if Chicago is getting the same type of heat wave we are here in upstate New York, where it's 100 and feels like we're at the equator all of a sudden. But if it's the right, if it's a warm day and the ball's carrying, he will make mistakes up. And I still think this Astros lineup, I know TB said these two lineups are equal. I disagree with that a little bit. I still think the Astros have far more upside up and down that lineup than the White Sox do. So I don't know if I want to play over 9.5, but maybe a juiced over 9 where you're going to, if it's a 4-4 game, you're good and you've got, outs there. But I kind of am in line with Tokyo Brandon in the respect that I think you could see runs here. And I wouldn't be surprised if Flexen gives a couple bombs up, because his location wasn't great in his most recent start against the Diamondbacks. And, we could see him sort of dip a little bit. He had a good run for about a month, but he just doesn't have big league stuff at this point in his career, I don't think. So that's my thoughts there. Maybe an over.
Yeah.
Just a little nostalgic. Just a little nostalgic side note. I was at Comiskey Park for the Disco Sucks riot in 1979, was it? So anyway, you know what I'm talking about?
Was that the outfit you wore? Is that the same? Is that what are we celebrating? I'm just asking. I
was 8. I was 8 years old.
Damn, that still would have been a hell of an outfit. Still would have been great.
The whole field was on fire, burning, and beer bottles flying everywhere. I remember. Yeah, it was a great time. White Sox still haven't changed.
I'll see that. We've got temperatures in the low 80s, but the wind appears to be gradually increasing as the game goes on. It starts at I believe 2:10 is the first pitch. They'll have double-digit winds by 3 or 4 o'clock. So. Keep that in mind. Also, Flexen's outs 14.5. Will he get to the 5th inning? Will he go through 5? That's another angle. But Yordan Alvarez didn't play, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday. Is he playing today? Is he going to be in the lineup? That's a pretty big piece for Houston in that one. All right, we do have some best bets coming up here. If you guys have any games that you want to cover here coming up on the early slate, go ahead, drop them in the chat room here as best bets coming up your way here. Trig is going to look at the Royals versus the A's, and I know TB has got a interesting one, and there were some questions about Washington taking on Arizona, which is part of the reason, TB, and we'll start with that. Because this is exactly why getaway games or early games are kind of laughable. How in the hell did Washington and Patrick Corbin win a game yesterday? I thought it was always fade. Doesn't Corbin? It's an automatic fade unless, of course, I guess on a Wednesday afternoon and you're playing Arizona. But it is an interesting spot here today. It happens to be your best bet. So what are you looking at in this matchup?
Yeah. Well, I've been burned in this series for the first two games, so hopefully I'm not going to get burned today. But if you look at the Arizona Diamondbacks, I mentioned earlier that the Twins are batting third in Major League Baseball currently. Who's batting fourth? That would be your Arizona Diamondbacks. Yes, they are tearing the cover off the ball recently. Mackenzie Gore is a decent pitcher. He's not a great pitcher. I think the book's giving him way too much credit here. He's got a 1.32 whip. Yes, he has good stuff, but he's quite erratic, actually, if you've ever watched him pitch. And in his history in 20 at-bats against these Diamondback batters, he has a 400 average and a 1,000 OPS against. So the team total for the Diamondbacks today is 3.5. Way too low, in my opinion. And you can get that for minus 130. I thought that was just crazy. It's a client play I put out before this show. Grab the Diamondbacks team total over 3.5. I think they're going to reach that. They're also on the road, so they get 9 innings of at-bats. Everything's lining up for the Diamondbacks to score at least 4 runs in this one. The Washington bullpen is actually ranked 9 out of 30 teams, so they're pretty good. But I think the Diamondbacks could get this total off the starting pitcher, Mackenzie Gore, here today. This game's going to start in about an hour and a half, so sorry to put an early game best bet. It's for you live people, probably people watching the replay. The game will already be played. I will either look very smart or very stupid, but I think the 4th best lineup in MLB should be able to get 4 runs off the Washington Nationals today.
Yeah, I can't believe how, quietly, what are they, 9-2 in the last 11? I mean, it's they're really, and I think that bullpen's a big part of that reason too, that they have been really, really competitive, and we all know that Arizona this year crushing lefties. Yeah. So this will be interesting to see what we can get.
Synergy. Some teams have a synergy with each other, and for some reason, these two teams just won't let the other team, break out. We've had two kind of, real slugfest between these two teams.
Yes.
And I expect the Diamondbacks to be able to score on Mackenzie Gore. That's just my prognosis. As I said, people watching the replay, I'll either look really smart or really dumb. That's my best bet for the game.
Is his K prop here? That also feels high, though, does it not, TB? 6.5 for him, and against an Arizona team that doesn't strike out.
It does feel high. Actually, I think the under would be a good play on that. My strikeout props have been pretty good this season. My outs recorded props have been good. That's probably why I'm number 1 in Major League Baseball profit in 2024. It's been going well. I do have I do like the Diamondbacks team total over. Mackenzie Gore's strikeout prop 6.7 also. He does strike out more than 10 batters per 9 on average, but the Diamondbacks are very plate disciplined. So if you run the numbers, he'll probably get chased in the 5th or 6th inning. If you run the numbers, he comes out below 7 strikeouts. So I think that would be a decent play as well.
Yeah, second highest OPS against lefties this year. They have been an amazing job against them. Definitely worth backing there. Also worth visiting Tokyo Brandon over at his page at WagerTalk.com, as he is number 1 in the MLB profit category here this year. He's just cashing tickets, guys, and so is Adam Trigger, absolutely crushing it now. 12-1 MLB run, a 20-2 all baseball run. He's also got a 5% best bet up here tonight, which I would highly encourage you guys to visit his page at WagerTalk and hop on board with that one. And Trig, you're going to look at, and I just give up on this Royals team. They're taking on the A's here. I can't figure them out, man. It's been a hell of a gauntlet of a schedule, though. I'll give them that. I mean, the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Guardians, Seattle. I mean, they've had to go through it over the last couple of weeks, but can they finally scrape a win out here against the A's today?
Well, yeah, Joe, and you know what? I jokingly said this when I was doing a Spaces last night. Not every team is the Baltimore Orioles, who just, has nothing bad happen to them, right? Like, the Royals were always going to regress at some point. They were so hot in April and into May. They were always going to hit, that's really the only thing that's happened to them the last couple weeks is they're not hitting and they're not pitching at the same time, right? Like the hitting and pitching regression all came at once. And then you referenced they had a stretch of their schedule where they played the Guardians, the Mariners, the Yankees, on the road at the Dodgers. So it's like, you got to cut them some slack there. I mean, this is still a team that was, one of the worst teams in the league last year. I thought they took a huge step this year. I still think they have. I still think they're a very good team and will factor into the race in the AL Central. I think they probably have a good chance to make the playoffs. So, you know what? This happens to normal teams. Like they regress a little bit, they figure it out, and I fully expect them to do just that. They've lost now 3 in a row. They've lost 8 of their last 10. But again, the entire lineup other than Bobby Witt went cold. He can't win games by himself, even though but I think it's worth noting that he's one of the best players in Major League Baseball at this point. He leads the American League in hits. And at some point, guys like Salvador Perez, who is just in a huge slump right now. MJ Melendez has been in a slump. They're going to start hitting again, and things are going to start working out for this team. The other thing is there's a ton of talent in this organization. Like Omaha right now, the Royals AAA team is far and away the best team in AAA. And there's a lot of good players down there. So, that are big league guys that have been on the roster, a lot of the guys that were up last year. I think it's just a matter of pushing the right buttons, finding the right mix of guys. And then also the schedule over the next couple weeks is going to let up. And I know that this is supposed to be a part of the let up, right? The horrible Oakland A's. But I think they had a little bit of a hangover coming out of that Dodger series, having to stay on the road out on the West Coast. And then, of course, just the atmosphere of Oakland Coliseum. There's not much atmosphere, and I think they got lulled to sleep in the first, couple games of this series. But, one of the guys that I can promise you is part of the right mix of guys for the Royals is Seth Lugo. He's just been phenomenal. He's someone that they went and got in the offseason. I thought it was really intriguing that they brought him in, and I thought he might have success, and he's had really nothing but success. Last time out, another quality start. He gets his 10th win in the season on the road against the Dodgers, so sort of amidst this poor run, 2-8 run that the Royals are on, Lugo still comes out, quality start, 2 runs over 6 innings, gets another win. His 2.40 ERA is one of the top marks in baseball. WHIP is around 1. Everything about him just has been elite starting pitcher, and I don't think that he's gonna. I think he's gonna do that the rest of the season. I was a little bit skeptical when he came out of the gate 7-8-1, but everything I've seen, his pitch mix is great. Just says that he's gonna ride this the rest of the way, barring injury. And he pitched against the A's earlier this year, 5 2/3, 10 strikeouts. Believe they got a win in that game. I don't see why he can't do that again against the A's' poor offense. Now, the key for the A's to win games is like the last couple nights where they get the lead, they find a way to get the lead, and they get the ball to their couple high leverage guys, which of course ends in Mason Miller closing out the game. So that's notable because Mason Miller's now pitched the last couple days. I don't know if they really want to use him 3 days in a row. They probably would if they had the chance. But I don't know if it's that likely that the A's are going to be playing from ahead here because, Mitch Spence has been okay. Like he was a regular at AAA for Scranton last year. And, I feel like he makes competitive pitches. He's a serviceable pitcher. I don't have, a horrible opinion on him either way. Like he's not someone I'm just circling, targeting to fade. But I will point out that he's definitely regressed a little bit of late. 10 earned runs in his last 3 starts across 18.2 innings pitched. And the one thing I do like here is he pitched against the Royals in that first series. So, they've got to see him. He doesn't have as many tricks in the bag as Lugo does, who throws 7 different pitches for quality. So I think that that's an advantage for the Royals lineup, having seen him and the ability to make the adjustments there. So all that considered, I'd be really surprised if the A's sweep. The Royals have not been swept yet this year, and I don't think it starts today. Minus 145 is starting to feel like a bargain now. This was up in the, I believe, on your screen, you see minus 165. I'm seeing minus 145. another one where I'd be willing to sort of play back at the market. I think you're getting a huge discount on the Royals at minus 145. It's not the best of spots, of course, getaway day on the road, but they have to be feeling a little bit of sense of urgency after losing the first 2 games of this series, not wanting to be swept. I will be looking to take positions with this Royals team in the coming weeks. Rangers, Marlins, Guardians at home. I think that they probably have some, I think they host the Rays after that, a series at Coors Field against the Rockies. All seem pretty manageable. So I'll be looking for, to back this team. Maybe this is the jumpstart spot where they salvage the last game of the series. I think they're the right side at minus 145, and that'll be my best bet for the show. The only thing I like better is the 5% play I have up on my page that goes tonight, and you can find that at wt.buzz/AT.
Yeah. Night game. You got now a day game getaway spot after a night game, and it's no wonder. I saw this at 8.5 last night. I'm now seeing 6.5 there, Trig. So it's no wonder the total's starting to come down here. The bottom line is, you like Lugo or you like Spence? Who do you trust more? Lugo's been money on the road, too. So this should be that's what I mean. It's I don't get it. Don't get it at all there. So love that there. Catch you slipping in the house. Big shout out to you. Have is here. And yes, guys, don't worry. Tomorrow, Puck Time will be back, 11 a.m. Eastern time here to get you all caught up on Game 6. We just wanted to come to you early here today in order to get you this information on all these early starts. And, of course, we'll be back 2 o'clock Eastern time again tomorrow. We will let you know once we make the move permanent to this 11 a.m. time slot. It will in all likelihood happen as we get a little bit closer to July 1st. But until then, just make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the bell, and you'll get notified every time we do go live here. And, of course, make sure you guys join the conversation, as always, as we've got Wager Talk today coming up here at the top of the hour. Stick around, hang out for that. It's going to be a hell of a day here today. UFC, we're going to talk about Kyle Anthony, more Major League Baseball. Ralph Michaels is already talking college football win totals. A lot of reasons for you guys to play with the buttons there. Just go ahead and hit them and do what you got to do there and become part of the Wager Talk TV family. But on behalf of Adam Trigger and Tokyo Brandon, 2 of the very best at Wager Talk, guys, when it comes to the Major League Baseball, make sure you partner up with them here today and moving forward, for that matter. Go grab that 5% best bet here from Adam Trigger, and we'll be back. Dan will be back, of course, 2 o'clock here tomorrow, or maybe Steve Merrill, because Dan appears to be on vacation with negative internet action, or maybe he'll be at a Phillies game. We don't know, but one way or another, we'll be back at 2 o'clock tomorrow. Until then, guys, cash those tickets. Best of luck with all your plays. We'll see you again tomorrow. Don't go anywhere. Wager Talk today coming up next year on Wager Talk. Unreal.